So, this is Bruce, and I wanted to make some notes about visiting Eleanor Roosevelt's cottage. I saw this after seeing the magnificent home that her husband lived in. And after she discovered that he'd been unfaithful to her, she basically decided to remain married but live in a different place. And that place that she chose was the ancestral picnic grounds. And there they built Val-Kill and the stone cottage. And the day I visited there, it was this beautiful rainy day. It was kind of on and off. And this itself is the stone cottage. It's not Val-Kill itself. Here, amazing Eleanor Roosevelt was visited by luminaries as the king and queen of England at the time, and by Kennedy, who was there asking for her support during his run for election. She didn't want to give it to him, but after he renewed his thoughts about civil rights for all, he changed his mind. So anyway, this is the place where everyone would be received. What strikes me about this place is that there's this plain little sink in the corner. Well, I guess that, I don't really see that was where the wash-up was, or maybe it was a sink, but there were, over in the back in the left-hand corner, that's where Eleanor would write, and there would apparently be chaos or noise around. The TV might be on, the radio might be on. People might be playing, and she'd look up ever so often and then finish her column. She did a column for over 3 decades. What is also interesting about this, there were furniture available for any sized person. Anyone could feel fairly comfortable there. And what strikes me, and right over there on the television set is beloved Scotty. That's their dog. That's not an actual stuffed Scotty, but anyone would be comfortable there. What also strikes me is this wonderful lines. It's amazing when you start looking. Even there are lines up and down in the ceiling, and you can see the lines in the wall work. And there were pictures. These are the pictures that were there originally. And there would be pictures of her talking to people. There are not a lot of art as far as I can tell. There were pictures. And here you see Eleanor, spelled Elanor, Roosevelt. That was a gift from a child. And people didn't really know how to spell. I saw another spelling of Eleanor with an Elinor, but she was a people's champion. And so she would get all kinds of gifts from all kinds of people in various sorts of literacy. But she wrote her column, My Day, and just telling of the work that she did. Here is the dining room. If you see that ceiling, again, there's like crisscross lines throughout the house. It's the same up and down panel against a field of oriental rugs where they're kind of a mosaic. I always get the sense of walking through here, however quiet it was in this gold and this kind of a cool, misty day, that it was a hideaway, but there were such strong elements of righteousness, uprightness, if you will. There were just the mullions. It just struck me as how many stripes there were everywhere. Here's a close-up of the dinner table. It extended, I think, to 12 or something like that, and then there'd be a side table for kids. That was just ordinary ceramic, nothing fancy. She did, and there was something about the centerpiece. It was kind of like a pastiche of all kinds of people. And over them was this kind of ancestral candelabra, which were very fancy. Otherwise, things were kind of straightforward. Here's the final room in the public part of Val-Kill. Again, you see that little book corner in the back. Everything seems, even though this picture doesn't really show it, everything seems, righteous and soft at the same time. Those strong verticals and even in the ceiling. And then there's a place where anyone could kind of settle in. You see the piano and there's the radio. And people could kind of reconfigure the living room to suit their needs. It just seemed like a warm place, but a warm place where things were decorous. They had a certain formality to it. On the walls are again tons and tons of photographs of her and people. She didn't seem to have a lot of art, but more like just snapshots of her life. Here's the view of the pond, not from Val-Kill, but from the stone cottage where her two friends lived. And here's the final picture of the very rather formal park ranger with the folks that I visited with. It was a real mix of folks, and some knew more about Eleanor than I. Many didn't. But it was a place where, well, that we just kind of settled in and talked about the people's business and making things better, which was her goal. So thanks very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy your first visit to Eleanor Roosevelt's house.